Welcome back, guys. So this is the first part of the 3 video series which I have planned, camera basics. You gotta understand these 3 things: ISO, shutter speed and aperture, and I'm gonna explain to you the full exposure triangle. So this is the first part. I'm gonna start with aperture. Now stay till the end of your video because I will try to explain aperture as easy as I can, so that by the end of your video you can understand truly what that f-stop in your camera means. So come with your seatbelts because we are going on a ride of camera basics. So while filming, you might have noticed that little f-stop or the F alphabet, and then beside that some random numbers. Well, those are not random. You might have seen f3.8, f3.5, f8, f9. Now I'm going to explain to that because that is aperture. So aperture is basically your camera's lenses opening. So the way it works is the more you open your aperture, the more light gets in through that aperture. It's basically a hole through which the sensor gets the light. Yes, that's the best definition I could get. It's a hole through which the light from the outside gets to the sensor of the camera. So basically aperture, the higher your aperture is, f14, f8, f9, then those apertures will intake less amount of light, which means higher the aperture, lower the light. Higher the aperture, lower the light. You're gonna repeat after me because that will make sense when you're shooting outside. So you can repeat after me once more. Higher the aperture, lower the light. Yes. So because higher the aperture number, the aperture gets smaller. Suppose this is f3.8 and then it starts to shrink. f4, then we got f5, then this little hole is f4 point something or f9. The little amount of light the sensor gets. Now what if you open the aperture to up to 1.8? so this will be this much big hole. A lot of light will be entering the sensor. So you gotta repeat after me one more time because if you repeat and just try in your real life, you will definitely get the results done. So let's repeat like we again did it in the nurseries. Higher the f-stop or higher the aperture, lower the light. Lower the aperture, higher amount of light. Well, it feels good like to be back in the nurseries. Yes, I also felt good because I repeated it to kind of get it instilled in me. Anyways, so now comes the second part of aperture. When you shrink your aperture down, the focus is throughout the photo. I mean, suppose you are shooting landscape photography. You want to show the subject as well as the beautiful icy mountains in the background. So what you will do, you will go with a higher aperture. I mean, that gets confused. Anyways, I mean f13, f14, which will get that your subject, the portrait or the subject which you are shooting, that will be in focus, and even the background will be in focus, which means the whole photo will be in focus because you want to show those beautiful nature and blah blah blah. So f-stop, when it will be higher, the whole photo will be in focus. But generally when you are taking portraits, we like that juicy bokeh and the juicy blurry background. So you want that, I got it for you. Just bring all your aperture down to 1.8 if your lens supports it. For a quick disclaimer, if your lens supports it, then you can bring it to 1.8. I will suggest you a lens, but that's a different story for a different day. Anyways, so bring down your aperture. Bring down your aperture to suppose 1.8. Then it will give you those blurry awesome backgrounds, the awesome bokeh or the awesome blurry juicy backgrounds which you are habituated to see in great portraits. So I'm going to show you two photos. First, which is taken in a higher aperture, and the next, which is taken in a lower aperture. Now, why you should watch the second part of the video? Second video of this series, because when you are opening the aperture, it's in taking a lot of light and you got to compensate for that. So that's it. That will be the topic for the next video. How will you compensate the light that enters through the aperture? That will be a different topic for a different day. The next video. So let us remember and be in the nurseries, because being in the childhood just gives me more fun. So higher the aperture, lesser the light. Lower the aperture, more the light. Higher the aperture, the whole image will be in focus, and lower the aperture, the portrait or the subject will be in focus, and the background will be in that juicy, blurry thing which you are all habituated to see. So that is it, guys. That's the first part of the video, understanding aperture in the cameras. Now it's basically that simple. You gotta change your aperture. Now if you don't know how to change your aperture, that just varies from camera to camera. When you bought your camera, you might have got a manual with it. You gotta open it up and see how you can change the aperture. So you will change it and get that juicy, blurry backgrounds or the whole image in focus. I hope you have got the understanding of aperture, and in the next two videos, after this next two videos, you're gonna be a complete photographer, and I promise. So we are on our road to the 1,000 subs this year, and every subscriber just gives me more inspiration to do more kind of these tutorials. So please subscribe to our channel, follow us on our Instagram and Twitter pages. Until then, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.